I made a bet with my archenemy that whoever ranked first in our grade could command the other to do anything. I ended up losing. Fuming with anger, I gritted my teeth as Jason smugly looked at me, slowly uttering a few words. I want you to be my girlfriend. When the midterm results came out, I once again ranked second in the grade. I glared hatefully at the name above mine, Jason, wishing I could poke thousands of holes in it. Just missing out by 2 points. I hated myself for not scoring those 2 extra points. Back in the classroom, Jason shamelessly approached me. Oh, Denise, ranked second again, just 2 points behind. No worries, next time strive for only 1 point behind me. Despicable. I clenched my fist, suppressing the urge to punch him, and sat down calmly. If I don't beat him in the next exam, I'll be nothing but a loser. Taking a deep breath, I turned to face him. Jason, let's make another bet. Whoever ranks first next time can command the other to do anything. I wanted him to crawl on the ground and bark like a dog, admitting that Denise is the best. He hesitated for a moment, then smirked. All right, deal. I began brainstorming my plan of action meticulously. Of course, I wasn't going to bury my head in books. Based on my experience, the conventional methods wouldn't outdo Jason, so I had to try something else. Reverse thinking. If I couldn't improve rapidly in a short period, I had to ensure Jason's swift decline. I smirked sinisterly. I requested to sit next to Jason in class, citing the rationale of mutual assistance and support for our high grades, which the teacher promptly approved. When Jason moved to sit beside me, he seemed puzzled. Why had the teacher suddenly made us sit together? I flashed him a friendly smile. It's to help each other out, of course. He looked at me suspiciously, sensing that something was off. During class, I kept engaging Jason in conversation. He struggled to pay attention to the lesson while chatting with me. Clearly, he was finding it hard to balance both. But he couldn't resist talking to me. After the quiz was handed back, I saw his paper filled with red X marks, and I couldn't contain my joy. I had studied these topics in advance and didn't need to listen in class. As the class ended, and Jason wanted to correct his quiz, I immediately pulled him up. Hey, it's the end of class, let's go out and relax. So, I led him to stroll around the playground. The warm breeze caressed our faces, and I casually asked Jason a question. Jason, do you like playing games? He visibly paused. Why are you asking? Oh, nothing, just curious. If you like playing games, we could play together sometime, I replied nonchalantly. He gave me a strange look but still said, it's okay, I play occasionally. My heart leaped with joy. Unable to contain my excitement, I exclaimed, that's great. Let's play games online tonight. He glanced at the hand tightly gripping his arm, his expression unreadable, but he nodded. That evening, I logged onto the game and battled Jason in the virtual world for 300 rounds. At 10 p.m., Jason said, let's play again next time, it's getting late. I smirked and replied with just 2 words, scared? He quickly responded, impossible. Just wait, I'll show you. And so, we played until the early hours of the morning. The next day, I saw Jason, with dark circles under his eyes, looking worn out. Suppressing my excitement, I pretended to be concerned and asked, what's wrong, Jason? Didn't sleep well last night? He glanced at me, too exhausted to speak, and slumped back to sleep. When he awoke, he slapped the table. Darn it. I forgot to do my homework last night. Because of the game, I couldn't help but smirk. That's the line I've been waiting to hear. Here, I've prepared my homework in advance. Hurry and copy mine to get by. He looked at my work and then at me. Feeling guilty, I avoided his gaze, muttering, you're my desk mate, so I reluctantly lend it to you. He pursed his lips, grabbed the paper, and began hastily copying. And so, every day, I persistently engaged Jason in conversations during class, pulled him out to play after class, played games with him at night, and let him copy my homework. Under my efforts, his grades visibly began to decline. His rankings in quizzes and weekly tests not only fell below mine but also dropped out of the top 10. Holding his deplorable answer sheets, he furrowed his brow, alternating between glancing at the paper and at me. Feeling guilty, I quickly remarked, looks like your performance hasn't been the same lately. Proudly uttering the same words he once said to me, I felt triumphant. I approached him sinisterly and whispered in his ear, Jason, why don't you try with me? I guarantee your condition will improve. Evil thoughts filled my mind as I remembered how Jason used to nag me to study with him, promising that I would pass exams with his help, but I never believed him. A sense of satisfaction washed over me as I finally uttered those words, a scholar can be killed, but not insulted. I had a feeling of avenging a great injustice. I had expected Jason, with his pride, to firmly reject me, but to my surprise, he hesitated for a moment, then his earlobes turned red, and a faint blush appeared on his face. Was he feeling humiliated? The thought made me feel elated. After pondering for 2 seconds, he cautiously looked at me and asked, are you sure? What was that tone and expression? Did he doubt my abilities? Ridiculous. I gave him a disdainful look and said, just try studying with me, you'll be satisfied. It seemed like he made a big decision, finally nodding his head and saying, all right, but don't regret it. Regret what? I scoffed, you better not regret it, let me show you how solid my knowledge is. Jason asked, where should we study? After thinking for a moment, I suggested, let's go to your place. My place isn't convenient. Unexpectedly, Jason's face turned red again. He lowered his head, lost in thought. Understanding his predicament, I offered, how about we go to my place? Either way is fine with me. No, he immediately interrupted me, his eyes filled with a strange gravity. Finally, he nodded heavily, let's go to my place. That night, I went to Jason's house with him. He seemed worried and silent throughout the journey. Seeing my former rival like this, I couldn't help but feel a bit sentimental. I nudged him and said, don't be too downcast. This is a process of mutual learning and helping each other. We will both derive a celestial joy from this process. The sense of accomplishment after studying is incomparable. He looked blank for a moment and then seemed anxious, asking, do you have experience? I nodded, of course, otherwise, I wouldn't dare take on this task. I've tutored struggling students before, but tutoring a top student like you is a first for me. His eyes lost their sparkle instantly, and he appeared crestfallen. Furrowing my brows, I said, don't be so disheartened. While I've done this before, tutoring someone like you is a first for me. I've only tutored low achievers in the past. He sighed deeply, seemingly resigned and desolate. After trying with me, please don't try with anyone else, okay? I'm not your dedicated teacher. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks, looked up, and there was a hint of grievance in his eyes. I patted his back, don't look so dejected. If you feel wronged, I feel wronged too. I'm sacrificing for you. I struck a heroic pose, patting my chest. Jason gave me a deep, enigmatic look and let out a sigh. Once inside the house, Jason changed his clothes and shoes hesitantly and asked, do you, need to take a shower first? I shook my head, no need, we're going to start soon. He hesitated and a hint of anger flashed across his face, who said we are starting soon. Surprised by his lack of trust in my teaching abilities, I retorted, if you need to shower. Hurry up then. Once you're done, I'll show you how amazing I am. My words seemed to set him ablaze as his face turned red like an explosion. Amused by his reaction, I chuckled and waved him off, hurry, go ahead. I need to prepare too. Jason obediently went to take a shower. I took out the textbooks and started organizing my thoughts. When Jason emerged, he was only wrapped in a large towel around his lower body, his upper body bare with smooth muscle lines catching my eye. Uncontrollably, tears welled up in my eyes. Jason looked a bit awkward, with his freshly washed black hair still dripping. He hesitantly asked me, are you sure you don't want to wash it? I shook my head again, since you are feeling better now, put on some clothes and let's get started. He hesitated to come over, paused, and asked, Do I need to wear clothes? I thought for a moment, realizing he might just be casual at home. Forget it, you don't have to wear anything, it doesn't matter. As soon as I finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something and said to me, wait, I'll go buy that. I tilted my head, buy what? What do you need to buy? Can you do it next time? I have things to do, can you hurry up? He fidgeted with his hands, feeling embarrassed. It's just that, getting impatient, I asked, what exactly is it? Do you have to buy it right now? As if he had made a big decision, he suddenly said solemnly, condoms. Condoms? What condoms? Condoms. I was stunned, why are you buying condoms? My mind raced, and I looked at what he was wearing and recalled our previous conversation. Suddenly, I understood something. It seemed like he had misunderstood something. I was speechless, and he looked at me strangely, aren't you the one who said? I couldn't explain, feeling a bit awkward. I didn't mean that, I meant I want to help you with tutoring. Tutoring? Now he looked shocked, with disbelief in his eyes. All this time you came to tutor me? I nodded naturally, yes. Don't you like me? Why would I like you? We stared at each other for a while, and he squinted, looked me up and down, shook his head, I don't believe it. Believe what? His eyes locked onto mine, I don't believe you don't like me. You intentionally told the teacher you wanted to sit next to me, always talked to me, stuck around after class, and played games with me until dawn. Tell me, if that's not liking someone, what is it? I was left speechless by his question. I had never expected him to interpret things this way. I started to say something but stopped midway. I couldn't reveal my true intentions. Seeing me silent, he proudly crossed his arms and looked at me as if he knew everything. He sighed. Even though you came to tutor me today and that disappoints me a bit, at least it's confirmed that you like me. Confirmed your foot. I wanted to defend myself, but I couldn't, so I remained silent. After Jason misunderstood that I liked him, he started treating me differently. One morning, I found a carton of milk on my desk, with Jason's flamboyant handwriting on it. For you, considering how long you've been chasing after me. During class, I stopped talking to him. He thought I was just shy after being found out and wrote me notes, saying it's okay, he could pretend not to know and that I should continue pursuing him. I crumpled the note and ignored him. After class, I rested my head on the desk, but Jason dragged me to the playground. He extended his hand, acting generous. Come on, let me lead you. I slapped his hand away and walked away. He caught up from behind, teasingly, don't be shy, I won't tell anyone. No wonder he had suddenly become less annoying in the past few days, surprisingly easy to talk to, all because he mistakenly thought that I liked him. I rubbed my forehead and felt like sighing deeply. Midterms finally arrived. This exam would determine the outcome of the bet I made with Jason earlier. I was extremely nervous the week before the exam. Jason, on the other hand, was still leisurely and carefree, with that same teasing attitude. I secretly prayed that my plan for Jason would work. When the results were posted, I anxiously looked for my name. Denise, second place, first place, Jason. My heart sank to the bottom. Back at my seat, I took a deep breath and asked Jason, what do you want from me? Besides crawling on the ground and barking like a dog. I gritted my teeth in anger, and Jason looked at me triumphantly, slowly uttering a few words. I want you to be my girlfriend. Ha, addicted to playing games, ha. I rolled my eyes at him, ignoring him, feeling sad inside. The impact of this test was quite huge for me, and I began to force myself to admit that I really couldn't do it. Maybe I'm just not cut out for studying. Forever second place. Always the runner-up. Suddenly, I remembered something my mom said a long time ago on the phone. No matter how hard you try, it's useless. Yeah, it's useless. Not matter how hard I try, it's not good enough, and because it's not good enough, they all leave me. I felt my eyes sting a bit, and Jason, shameless as ever, came over and said, hey, let's go for a walk. His hand was waving in front of me, and I was already irritated. I couldn't hold it in and shouted at him, are you done yet? Yes, I'm not good enough, no matter how hard I try, I can't beat you. Are you satisfied? Jason froze. You're crying. I didn't even realize I was crying until I touched my face, and indeed, tears were falling. Jason looked a bit flustered, wanting to reach out to wipe my tears, but then withdrew his hand. Finally, he handed me a few tissues. He whispered, I'm sorry. I took the tissues, wiped my tears. It's okay, it's not your fault. I voluntarily requested the teacher to move me away from Jason. My reason was that I always ranked one place lower than him, and seeing him put too much pressure on me, making it hard for me to study. This was the truth. I really didn't want to see Jason. He was a constant reminder of my ridiculous efforts. I just wanted to rank first once, but with his presence, it seemed like this wish would never come true. The homeroom teacher saw that I wasn't doing well, so she agreed. When I came out of the office, Jason saw that my eyes were red, and immediately asked nervously, what's wrong? Did the teacher scold you? You can tell her it's all my fault. It's my fault for affecting you. I looked up at him, calmly saying, Jason, you do affect me. Let's not sit together anymore. I can't stand seeing you. With that, without looking at him, I left. After that, it seemed like Jason really disappeared in front of me. He moved back to his original seat, and except during class, I didn't see much of him. He would rush out of the classroom right after class, wouldn't come talk to me during breaks, and I couldn't find him after school. We used to walk together often on the way home. It seemed like he was intentionally avoiding me. During PE class, he was playing basketball with a group of boys, carefree and radiant under the sun. Friends curiously asked me, didn't you two used to bicker a lot before? Even during PE class, it was like a game of cat and mouse between you two. Why does it feel like you're not interacting as much lately? I smiled helplessly. We're competitors. Even so, I couldn't help but look towards the basketball court. Jason was still the same as before. He inadvertently glanced in my direction, then quickly looked away. Thinking about the words I had said to him, I felt I should apologize to him.
I couldn't blame others just because they did well in their grades. I walked towards the basketball court, the crowd bustling, and just as I was about to reach Jason, I heard a sudden exclamation in my ear. "Watch out!" Before I could react, I felt a sharp pain in my head and instantly lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was in the school clinic. My friend was by my side, and when she saw me waking up, she quickly asked, "Are you okay?" "Any discomfort?" I gently touched my head and replied, "I'm fine." My friend breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Thank goodness. You were hit on the head by a basketball all of a sudden." Luckily, Jason was there. He ran like a sprinter to get you to the clinic. Honestly, I've never seen him run so fast during normal times. I furrowed my brow and interrupted her. "You said Jason brought me here?" She nodded, "Yes." I pursed my lips and asked, "Is he still here?" "Oh, he brought you here and left immediately." What a good deed. Without leaving a name, I sighed. Due to the head injury and my recent poor condition, I decided to take some time off to rest and recuperate at home. After sleeping for 2 days at home, I decided to go out to buy some food. As soon as I stepped out of the residential area, I saw a familiar figure wandering around. I walked up to him and tentatively called out, "Jason?" Jason was startled, but when he turned around and saw me, he awkwardly smiled and said, "Oh, what a coincidence. Are you also out for a walk?" I glanced at the items in his hands and said, "I'm not out for a walk, I'm out to buy groceries." "But why are you carrying so many fruits and food while walking?" His face reddened, and he quickly hid the things behind him, stammering, "I just came out of the supermarket." I chuckled at his reaction, and he smiled back shyly, scratching his head, looking somewhat awkward. "How's your rest going? You haven't been to school these past few days, and I thought something might have happened to you," he said somewhat uncomfortably. I patted his shoulder reassuringly. "Why don't you come over to my place and sit for a while?" "Really?" His eyes immediately lit up. Jason insisted on showcasing his cooking skills. Watching him bring out a complete and delicious meal, I couldn't help but swallow and gave him a thumbs up. "You are truly a domestic man." He rarely blushed and shyly smiled, casually asking, "When will your parents be back? If they have time, let uncle and aunt taste my cooking, too." I paused with the food in my chopsticks and calmly said, "They are not coming back." Jason froze for a moment, unsure of what to say. I smiled and said, "It's okay, actually. You know why I am so determined to excel, Jason? My dad left me when I was in elementary school, saying I was a burden, useless. My mom raised me until junior high and then left too. She started a new family, sometimes giving me a call to ask about my situation, but whenever she heard about my grades, she was always disappointed. She said no matter how hard I tried, it was useless. She said she had another child now, a child who was excellent, always ranking first. She said I could never surpass that child. I haven't seen her in a long time. I think, maybe if I rank first, she will come and look at me." I poured my heart out, and strangely, I felt a bit relieved after sharing it all. I told Jason, "Thank you for listening to this, but I hope you won't make me rank first out of pity." Jason was stunned for a moment, then suddenly held my hand and said earnestly, "You will definitely become number one." Upon returning to school, Jason volunteered to sit next to me at our teacher's permission. He pledged to never skip class or fall asleep again, only then the teacher agreed. I looked at him skeptically. I couldn't help but feel he had ulterior motives. He smiled brightly, showing a set of white teeth, saying, "We should help each other as classmates." During class, I saw Jason listening attentively like never before. I had never seen him so focused during a lesson, taking notes diligently while listening. As the bell rang for the end of class, he pushed his notes towards me proudly, saying, "Take a look." I lowered my head and flipped through them, surprised to find that although he was usually lazy, he was actually quite diligent. His notes were even better than mine, well organized with clear emphasis on key points. During the big break, he dragged me to the sports field, insisting that I needed to relax and not just study all the time or my brain would go bad. I tried to refuse, but he persisted, claiming it was important to balance work and rest, so I reluctantly went along. A gentle breeze blew, tousling the teenager's hair, as I watched Jason's profile and couldn't help but think, if you weren't my opponent, maybe I would have pursued you. Jason smirked and said, "Looks like you still haven't given up on me." After school, Jason hesitantly offered to walk me home, suggesting that he could help me with tutoring. I firmly declined, but when he mentioned cooking for me, I reluctantly agreed. After I made a mistake in the problem for the nth time, Jason couldn't help but knock on my head, saying, "I finally understand why you always fail to beat me even though you know everything. You can't even read such big numbers correctly."
Are your eyes just for show? I rolled my eyes inwardly but kept a poker face at Jason's side and suddenly said out of the blue, by the way, you still haven't fulfilled our last bet. I pretended to be clueless, asking, what bet? Jason patted my head and said, your memory is as bad as your eyes. We said whoever ranked first could command the other to do anything. I casually replied, oh, I don't remember. Let's continue with the questions. You're not going to back out, are you? He raised an eyebrow, gazing at me intently. You lost, so you have to be my girlfriend now. I asked in disbelief. Jason, are you serious or just kidding? He met my eyes, nodding. Of course, I'm serious. I've been pursuing you for a while now. Isn't that serious enough? I was taken aback. When did you pursue me? His eyes widened. I lent you notes, took you out to play, brought you breakfast, tutored you after school. Do you think I'm just wasting my time? I paused, lost for words. I had thought he was trying to stop me from being first place like I was. Jason sighed. Is there anything else in your heart aside from ranking first? He questioned. I shook my head. I don't want anything else besides being first place. Time flew by, and it was the end of the term. With Jason's help, I felt that my grades had significantly improved. On the day the exam results were announced, as I stared at the names on the list, I felt a pang of melancholy. First place, Denise. Second place, Jason. I stepped back from the crowd and saw Jason looking at me. He smiled and said, congratulations, Denise, you've proven yourself. I lowered my eyes and smiled back, thank you, Jason. Suddenly, achieving first place didn't bring me the happiness and excitement I had imagined. Instead, I felt a sense of emptiness and melancholy. There used to be a top student that I aimed to catch up with. I always thought, as long as I can get the first place, all my problems would be solved. But in reality, being the top student does not solve any of my problems. It was just my inexplicable obsession. I told myself that if I could get the first place, my mom would come back to see me. But that was just self-deception. Coming home one night after school, as I reached the front door, I noticed it was wide open. Has someone broken into the house? That was my initial reaction, and my heart immediately tensed up. I took a step forward, and then a person walked out of the house. I froze, as if my feet were glued to the floor and couldn't move. She looked at me, waved at me, and spoke. It had been a long time since I heard her voice. Welcome back, Denise. I held back the tears that were about to fall from my sore eyes, trying to calm myself down. In a dry voice, I said, Mom. Back in the house, I watched her busy herself, and it felt like we were from different worlds. How long had it been since I last saw her? She turned around, smiled at me. Denise, Jason, is he your classmate? I hesitated, then nodded. She sighed. He called me and said some things to me. That's why I decided to come back. Her eyes met mine, filled with regret. I'm sorry, Denise, you've suffered all these years. I never came back because I always thought I would wait until everything was a little better, and then I would come and take you with me, to let you live a carefree life. But I ignored your feelings. I shouldn't have always vented my emotions on you. You've never complained to me all these years, and I always thought you were the best. You don't need to prove yourself with the first place. You are always the best in your mother's heart. I looked at her, feeling a chill on my face. I wiped my face and smiled. I know, I never cared. The perfect score paper was stuffed in my school bag and would never be brought up again. The term ended, and it was summer vacation. Jason came up smiling. Denise, are you going out to play during the summer vacation? I shook my head, and he looked disappointed. I asked him, what did you say to my mom? Why did she suddenly come back? Jason mysteriously smiled, shook his head. That's confidential. I rolled my eyes. Okay, but thank you. I suddenly feel being the second place is pretty good now. The pressure of being first is too much. Jason crossed his arms, looked down at me and said, now you know how much pressure being the first place has been. I looked at his smiling eyes and bright gaze, and suddenly blurted out, Jason, you're actually quite handsome. He lifted his lips proudly, patted my shoulder, you have a good taste. I'll give you a chance to be my girlfriend. I pushed his hand away, turned around with my school bag and walked off, not interested. Jason followed behind, shouting, hey. Think about it, on the first weekend of summer vacation, I was woken up by a knock on the door. I opened it, and there stood Jason, holding a small cake, looking energetic. He raised the cake in his hand and smiled dazzlingly, happy birthday. I was stunned for a moment, only then did I remember that today was my birthday. Before I could say anything, Jason barged in without saying a word, still saying, touched? If you're touched, consider me. I looked at the cake and suddenly remembered that I hadn't celebrated my birthday since my mom left, but Jason remembered my birthday. Every year he would wish me a happy birthday. I stopped him. Jason, you're not my archenemy anymore. Jason turned around, looking at me, his eyes bright. Then what am I? I thought for a moment, a guy friend. His face darkened instantly. I don't want to be a guy friend. I sighed. Then you can only be a male classmate. Jason walked towards me, ruffled my hair, and before I could push his hand away, I heard him say, Denise, you ranked first for your mom, but do you know why I aimed for the first position? I blinked. Why? He suddenly leaned in close, his eyes intense. Frida, I noticed you a long time ago, but I found that besides grades, you don't care about anything else. I tried some ways to catch your attention, but apparently none of them worked, so I had to focus on what mattered most to you. I worked hard and finally got to the first place, finally making you notice me. You have no idea how happy I was when I saw that you noticed me, but it seems like you only see me as your opponent, your enemy, Jason rambled on, and after a while, I slowly spoke. I never thought that my troubles were created by myself. I sighed. Jason seemed nervous. I'm sorry. I smiled. You have nothing to apologize for. Ranking first is your ability, it's just me. I hesitated for a moment, and then said, I've changed my mind now. What mind? I stood on tiptoes and touched his head. Denise, I'm not the type to go back on a bet. Once I've said it, I'll do it. Jason was surprised for a moment, then he pulled me into his arms. I mumbled in his arms, softly saying, But Jason, I'm about to leave. I have to transfer to where my mom is. Jason let me go, his eyes filled with unmistakable sadness. I held his hand, squeezed it. Are you willing to wait for me? He buried his head in my shoulder, a hint of sadness in his tone. The cicadas were chirping outside the window, the birds were singing, and the sunlight was warmed. I closed my eyes, and in this moment, the string that had been tense in my heart finally relaxed at the end.